Hi folks, I'm making this video about a 2019 Can-Am Maverick Sport Max. I made one other YouTube video before and I got a lot of questions about how I installed stuff and things like that, but it's hard to tell people over, email and such how to install something, and they wanted a few more in-depth kind of things of what I did, and I've added a bunch of things to this since, so I'll just start kind of fresh. This is a 2019 Maverick Sport Max. I've done quite a bit to it. A lot of people have been asking what kind of things you can do, because there's not a lot of videos out there on this vehicle and what you can add. My vehicle, I put the sport roof on it and also added the basically the trail rack from Can-Am. I did add the Can-Am rear view mirror and also the Can-Am side mirrors because I was having a lot of problems throwing a lot of stuff inside the cab. I did add the Can-Am fender flares on both ends. I have upgraded to 30-inch tires. I've seen lots of YouTube videos out there that basically the 32s rob a lot of power. I went with the 30s. These are the Quad Boss 30 by 10 by 14s. I did go with the System 3 off-road wheels, basically because to go to the bigger tires, you really need to go to the bigger wheel. Some people have asked me about this rear tire mount. I did build it myself. It basically is some tubing that I went ahead and welded up at work, put a plate on the back of it, and basically just drilled the holes so it would line up with my wheel lug nuts, and then it just goes into basically the receiver hitch, so you can and then just put the pin in it. And then I went ahead and bought the Can-Am strap, 3-point strap in the back, just to keep it from bouncing around. It's solid as a rock there. Somebody runs into the back of you, that's what they're gonna hit. So that kind of helps a little bit also. I did go with the Can-Am rear trunk kit. I love it. It gets, there's plenty of room back here for anything, and it really keeps everything from getting really dusty and dirty. You know how it is in the back of these things. They're a little pricey. It's well worth it. It fits so good, and I love it. Before, I just had stuff strapped back down there. By the time you got to get somewhere to get a cold drink and some lunch, it was just a mess. I did go with the Tusk jack, just in case you get a flat, easy to lift. It came with the mount. It's solid. It doesn't bounce around on there. Added a fire extinguisher. Bought the mount off of eBay. It works really good. If you need to pull it off, it's a quick release. Added some shovels up there. I've been kind of high-sided a couple times before I got the wheels and got a little more clearance, so those came in handy. And also up on top there is a Can-Am storage box, which I went ahead and drilled some holes and put the link kit on there, and it locks down. You can pull it right down. That's where I keep my spare belt, all my tools, my air compressor, all the little things like that. Inside, I did go with a nice bright dome light, which is up here in the front. I did buy the overhead console because you guys know that when you go with this sport roof, it has that big bracket up there. It's just ugly. This is what's supposed to be mounted to it. That's another kind of pricey little item, which I kind of gutted. It usually has up in here where you want to put the switches. I went ahead, I have a Nut V4 by Gnome for the music, and I went ahead and cut the larger opening in the middle to mount my controller. There was no place in this thing to mount controllers and stuff. You know how tight they are. So I went ahead and mounted my switches for my dome light, turned the stereo on basically, and then over here the switches for the front 39-inch bar and the rear lights. I did go ahead and put in the seats, heated seats. I do a lot of trail riding up here in the snow. Here I'm in Oregon, so and then I went ahead and mounted right down in there in the center. Each seat heater has its own switch. I do have the electronic box holder, and I went with the Magellan off-road TRX7. So it works very well. It finds all the the roads that I've been on, it usually will show it. And it's nice because you can kind of drop breadcrumbs and follow your way back out if you get lost. I did do a dual battery setup, which I'm going to show you. That's one of the things that people were really asking about, is the dual batteries, and then also an isolator. So I went ahead and put in the dual reader, so it's reading both voltages and both batteries. Also, I put in something for charging the iPhones and whatever phone you've got. Other than that, inside, that's all I've got there. I did go with the Tusk fold down windshield with the manual wiper. I did have a Can-Am windshield in it, the Lexan ones that they make, and it just got so scratched up you couldn't even wipe it off. So this thing's worked out fantastic. You can fold it down and get full air, and also there's a vent in the front that you can adjust that allows you to get just some breeze coming through you, because it does get a little warm in these things in the summertime. Those are the speakers for the Nut V4. They sound good. They're nice. I did upgrade the harnesses. I went with the Aces racing harnesses. They were only like $139 a pair, so they were reasonable, and they really keep you in the seat nice and tight. I did go with the Can-Am door bags. There's no storage in here, and these things have plenty of room, plenty of places. I like to keep my my weapon in there when I'm riding. But also back here, I did go with the center storage bag. That worked out really good. It's got plenty of room in there for whoever's riding in the back. There are seat heaters here in the back also, which are, I went ahead and put the switches down here in the center. And then if you go down in here, this is where people have been asking me. You can see that I have a dual battery setup in it. There is a YouTube video out there, that's what I watched, and he showed how much of the plastic you kind of got to cut out, and then you're able to go ahead and mount those up. Mine kind of has quite a bit of wiring because I've done a lot. Those are all the switches and fuses and stuff for all the seat heaters. Now there is the battery doctor. A lot of people have asked me about that. It's basically a battery isolator, and what it does is while you're riding around, a relay opens on it and it's charging both batteries. Once you stop and say you want to listen to your stereo or whatever you want to do, as soon as you shut the key off, it senses that the key's in the accessory position and there's a draw on the batteries, and what it'll do is it'll open that relay, and then it goes into only pulling power off of the one battery that you've designated for the main. You can see right there where it says main and auxiliary. So all my accessories run off of the auxiliary battery. So if for any reason you end up, sorry about that. If for any reason that your battery goes dead listening to the stereo or anything, as soon as you turn the key to the on position to start, it closes that relay again and will start the vehicle. Also, I did go with the Rugged Radio's helmet intercom system, and what I did is I put it inside this box, because when you put this box on here, it gives you this whole big area inside there, and there's not a whole lot you can do. So I bought a little bracket from Rugged Radios and mounted it up in there, so it's in there where you can adjust your squelch and your volume and your helmets, and then it just comes back here to wherever you've run your helmet connectors to, and I just kind of leave them here, and I just plug into the helmets all the way around so we can talk to each other while we're riding. If we're riding with helmets, sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. That's what the Nut V4 is for, if we're not wearing helmets. Otherwise, you listen to the music through your helmets, and when you talk, it lowers the volume and then brings the volume back up. I do have the Hexus alarm system in this vehicle. This is a remote for it. It does have an alarm. It's plug and play by Hexus and plugs right into the ECU. And it is a perimeter type alarm for shock and perimeter. And I've set it pretty sensitive, so when I park someplace and go into a restaurant or whatever, if somebody just pokes their hand even close or starts to reach in, it starts to chirp and warns them that there's an alarm system. And then if they persist, the alarm goes off, and up to a mile away, that remote will vibrate and tell me somebody is messing with the vehicle. What else do I got here? I do have the rear backup LEDs and a mount for a flag for going to the dunes out here. And it does have a winch on it. I went with the Badland 3,500 pound winch from Harbor Freight. It went in real easy, wired up, no problem, and haven't had any problems with it. Used it a few times, works great. Definitely a big savings. What else do I got on this thing? Haven't had any problems with this. I've got about 900 miles on it right now. I did have like a little rattle in the rear end when you're going slow on the street, and I'm sure it's from just being a locker rear end. I took it to the dealer. They said there's nothing wrong with it, but you know, it kind of drives you crazy because you think something's coming apart, but it is what it is. Thing runs great. I've never had a problem climbing any hill, doing anything. I did put a base driver under the back seat. I'll show you what that looks like. There's not a lot of room in these things, you know that. So I'll just lift this up. There is a Rockville 8-inch base driver. It's a powered base driver, and wired it up just under the seat. It adds just enough bass, you know, because these Gnome Nut V4s, they're a little tinny. So, I mean, they're only 4-inch speakers, so what do you expect from them? So put that under there. Comes on when you turn on the Nut V4. Sounds good. I didn't go with the Nut V5 because their base driver basically shows that you mount it like in between these seats, and anybody who's sitting in the back could just get pounded out, and plus, you know, kind of looks stupid. One thing I will tell you, and I'll show you under there again, when you mount this, if you decide to go with this, directly under, when you pull this off and you see that plastic, directly within a 1/4 inch is the gas tank. I had to make some brackets here that kind of slide under the plastic. I cut a little hole and slid the brackets in, and then screwed it down, and then and then that gas tank ends. So basically right up front, you're able to put a couple of the screws way up front. Make sure you look. Otherwise, you'll put a screw right in the gas tank, and you'll get a gas leak and smell up the inside of the vehicle, and you know, makes for a bad day. Other than that, I love the Adventure roof rack, the 39-inch LED light bar that mounts to it. Got off of Amazon, cheap. Didn't have any problems with it. Works fantastic, nice and bright. This vehicle's been an awesome vehicle. I love it. I'm glad I went to the 30s, got a little more clearance, a little more stability. I'm all riding trails. We did go out in the dunes a few times and didn't have a problem. Really didn't need, I'm not, you know, it's not going to race up the faces of these mountains very fast in sand. It's not an X3. That's what an X3 is for. I bought this to go camping and cruise all of our trails out here in Oregon, where you can't really fit a 72-inch wide X3. So that's it in a nutshell. Only thing I would have done different is bought a 2021, because that triple black is awesome. So I know there's a lot of people that are buying the 2021s, and they've all been kind of watching videos out there like, well, what did you do? How did you add it? What did you do? So this thing's pretty tough to pull all your wires and everything through. I try to do everything inside the piping. You have to drill a few extra holes so you can pull all your wires to your speakers and stuff. I try not to zip tie anything to the rails. I try, and wherever I come out of the rail, try and put grommets and come through it that way. It's tough, but it takes some time, but it's worth it to keep it clean. I mean, I've seen guys say they've put stereo systems in 30 minutes, and they're zip tying all along the sides, and it works, but I mean, it's not the best looking thing. So that's a 2019 Maverick Sport Max. The only thing I haven't done is a tune. I've seen some videos online that, you know, gives you a little more mid-range, and it's not going to be a big horsepower gain, which you really don't need. These things kind of haul ass the way they are. I mean, plenty for me. I've been in X3s before, and yeah, they're auxiliating and they're fast, but where are you going to use that on the trails other than, you know, nailing the throttle for 50 feet until you come up on a tree? And then you only want to be going as fast as you're ready to hit that tree. And so that's in a nutshell. I'm happy with it. not a whole lot of other things I could really do to this vehicle. There's no room for anything else, and it just all costs money. But all in all, great vehicle, and really happy with it. If you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to drop a comment and I'll try and get back to you of where I purchase things. Most of this stuff came off of Amazon. The last thing I'll say is Rocky Mountain ATV. I don't get sponsored by anybody or anything like that, but I've found that anything that I've wanted for Can-Am that they sell is $30 or $40 cheaper than I can find it anywhere, Amazon or anybody. Why, I don't know, but I get it really quick, and you get some RM cash to go with it, and you know, so you can buy some you know, whatever, oil filters and air filters and everything they sell. So I'm really happy with them. Other than that, a lot of the stuff, the little switches, all of the rocker switches and everything that I did in this thing, basically I bought off of Amazon, had them shipped, and you know, they're kind of cool because you can label, everything's labeled. They've got everything under the sun. Other than that, she's a ripper. I like her. So that's it right there. That's a nice looking machine. It's fun to ride. Like I say, if you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to comment. Otherwise, you guys have a great summer, enjoy riding, and maybe we'll see you on the trails.